You guys have been battling with the COVID thing for like a year now with trying to do your tour and your record and your reunion stuff. So got to be kind of a pain in the butt, right? What's it been like?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, like it's well, it's the first time we're back together properly and, like 15 years in writing and trying to get stuff off the ground and kind of you get started and then you get hit with, a lockdown or something. And it's just, for us, it's, it's just trying to stay focused, and just trying to keep the energy up and try and do what we can on our own and in our own time,
Right. So I know you got a single coming out called R.I.P, which we'll talk about in a minute. But in general, what prompted the reunion? Is there something that happened, or you just?
I think, well, for us, like there was, weird. There was probably like I think like 9 years or something, or there's quite a while that went up. Maybe not 9 years, but there's quite a few years that went by where where the relationship between the band wasn't great.
Right.
The ex-members and Shelton and me and Marcus and stuff. And, I kind of a few years ago reached out to Shelton because personally didn't want to carry the weight of the negativity around what had happened to our friendship. And I reached out to him and, and said, look, hey, we should catch up for a beer. We can have a punch up. We can do whatever. Let's just get this sorted. So we got together and caught up, and before you know it, it was 2:00 in the morning, and we're like stumbling around Auckland City.
Good idea.
Being drunk.
I do know what you mean.
And that became the start of what is now, I guess what you'd call a reunion. We mended some bridges. We talked about some of the trauma and some of the shit that had happened over the years and kind of buried that. And then we started doing some shows a couple of years ago. We decided to go back out and start performing again as Blindspott. And the energy in that was undeniable,
right.
There's something that there's this kind of weird moment when me, Marcus and Shelton are together in an environment, either performing or writing music, which is kind of, I guess we go right back to, 2001,
right.
2000, and it's weird. It's like a time machine. So all this energy, all the energy built up, and we ended up deciding, we always said that we would test the waters with some shows, see what the energy was like, see what it felt like, and then if it felt right, have the discussion and then start writing again, and it felt right. We had the discussion, and here we are now.
Fantastic. So the writing, what's the writing like between you guys now?
It's interesting. We're a lot. I think back when we originally wrote music, it was more of just hanging out and jamming and playing around and stuff. And it's really weird. Like now, there's kind of there's this feeling of this kind of reinvigorated momentum and kind of, I guess, kind of focus from us because we haven't written a song together in 15 years. So, there's 15 years of some pretty gnarly shit that happened that has fed this process. And we get into a room and it's really organic. Marcus will start doodling around on something, or Shelton will start playing a little fill, and it just kind of happens. And if the energy's right between us, it just flows and it just goes. And once it goes, you've just got to go with it. And then the songs just kind of happen, and then I take the music away and I'll hum and squawk all over it and come up with ideas. And then, then the songs, the seed of the song usually kind of inspires a topic or a concept or an idea. And that's quite often mood dependent on my behalf, really.
Gotcha.
And then what happens is I'll write to that, then we'll come back together and we'll play it together, and then I'll go home and I'll track some stuff in my I've got a little studio out the back. I'll track some vocals and send it out, and then everyone feeds back. It's really collaborative,
Cool. So the song that's being released is called R.I.P, which I believe stands for Rest in Pieces. So what can you tell me about that one?
Rest in Pieces was kind of, it just kind of came. It was one of those moments where I just started singing and it just kind of came out.
Right.
And I think it's kind of, it was in the early phases of us writing. So I think it was that kind of the thought of when the band broke up, the vultures start circling and the people start going, oh, well, we always knew they were shit. They were never gonna, amount
two number one albums, but no good.
Yeah. And yeah, but we've always kind of been the underdog. We've always been the band that people kind of love to hate, and I
Right.
think for us that's a good thing.
Why do you think that was?
I don't know.
Is it the old tall poppy syndrome in action, or what?
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of that. We don't get it from our fans. Like our fans are still the most loyal, engaged fans in the world. But I think on one side you've got an industry of, because we're kind of in this middle ground. I think where we're not, Marcus isn't Joe Satriani, and Shelton's not, the drummer from fucking, I don't know, Led Zeppelin.
Right.
And I'm not a classically trained vocalist, or nor did I ever want to be, but what happens is so you get the music snobs, and you got the people who are like, oh, those guys have got no talent,
Yep.
And then you got the other side where, oh, those guys are kind of too honest, and they're a bit too brutal, and they swear too much, and But when the band broke up, like people kind of, there's a lot of negative energy that goes around that, and a lot of people kind of chiming in and getting involved, and so this is kind of a response to that. We've faced a lot over the years as a band, personally and professionally as musicians, and I think when we wrote the song and when it came out, I kind of had this really beautiful moment of like, this is basically, we're going to bury the people that, we're going to bury all of that stuff, and it is going to rest in pieces. And, like that's kind of what it's about. It's about burying all that shit and showing people that you're not going away. Like we're not going away.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're going on tour, so there you go.
Yeah.
How's it looking? Because it's got to be kind of unsettling the way things are, and the lockdown. And
I think it is tricky. It's the Rock 2000 show was gone. I don't think is not happening now. So you've got they've just announced today that they're doing the Rock Big 30, which is their 30th birthday.
Yep.
So they've shifted the gig to the Rock's 30th birthday, which is awesome. Although I love playing the Rock 2000 gigs, because they are they're a thing, man. They're a spectacle, those shows. Like people lining up at the beginning of the day and coming in and celebrating rock music together, and playing the radio live, and us playing. But yeah, the tour's looking good. I think hopefully we'll be able to lock down soon.
Yeah. Well, this Rock 30 thing, you're on a bill with Dave Dobbin and Villainy, right?
Yeah. So
it should be good.
Yeah, Dave's an awesome old mate of mine, and the Villainy boys we've toured with heaps, and it's always a really good time when those guys come together.
My understanding is, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think also Emma Dilemma's on the bill, and I've never seen her live, and I'm quite keen to see her.
Okay, yeah. So the album is recorded, right?
No, the album isn't recorded. So the album, what we're doing with the process we're taking with this record is, since we released our first and second album, the way people consume music, I think, has changed. We all agree that the way music has changed. And I think for us, we don't want to lock ourselves away for another 3 years and disappear and record a record and release the record, and then kind of that's that. For us, what we love playing live shows. We love writing and recording, and we want to do those things kind of in a process where we can write, record, and release, and then tour, say 4 songs or 4 new tracks or whatever, and then go back to the studio and do some more, because the way we're going to release this body of work is through volumes. So
so it's 4 parts, right?
Yeah, 4 parts. So we'll release them over the next kind of 12 months. And just let people absorb the songs. And we wanted to let people in on the process, because writing a record is not a linear process, and the stages that you go through is not linear. So we were like, we're not going to release the album in a linear way. We're going to release it when the songs are written, is indicative of a series of time that we are together and we're creating. So the 4 tracks that come out on the volumes will be indicative of those times in that moment. And I think for us that's really important, and being really open and honest is we just want to give our fans some music, man. We want to get people listening to the songs. We want them singing along, and I think if we release them in volumes, it gives our fans the opportunity to focus on that body of work in its entirety, and then add more later on. So it's not giving everything away at once,
Gotcha. Now I've heard the single. the R.I.P single, and you guys, it's like got that buzzsaw guitar, and I mean, you definitely haven't mellowed in with age, have you?
That's the thing, man, and that's the beauty of this music and what we make and the energy in the room is when we do come back together, it's like we're all 20, and like it is genuinely. And I do things that I don't do every day when I get in the room with those guys. You know what I mean? It's
So, is there much discussion? Is there much discussion among you about what you need to sound like these days, or do you just kind of strap on and let loose?
We made a really conscious effort when we started writing this material that we were going to leave it and as close as we possibly could to our vision of what we had for that music. When we wrote and recorded the first album, we went into the studio and we recorded the record that we wanted to make, and we made the record that we wanted to make. And then when we wrote the second album, there's a lot of pressure when you get to your second album. People are like, oh man, you can't do that. You can't rap on this one, or you shouldn't scream on the song because you did it on the last record. Right. and you end up getting producers that, rightly or wrongly, you think are right for where your sound needs to go. And on the second record, as much as I love that record, we didn't stay true, I don't think, to what our heart of hearts was saying when it came to the music.
Gotcha.
And so learning from that experience and learning from that, we've decided that with this, we are going to well and truly stick to what comes out, because that is us. That is the most purest form of us. And that is why our fans still listen to our music, is because we need to go back to the mindset of, nah, fuck you. This is how we're going to do it. No.
Okay. So is there a producer, or are you guys producing yourselves? How is the recording going?
We're working with a producer that is, we're working with a really talented and extremely kind of like focused producer called Forrester Seville, who's out of Australia.
Okay.
So we had lined him up to come down and record the first volume, and then COVID hit. So and we couldn't wait for this to be over because we still wouldn't have a song. So what we did is we ended up reluctantly trying to do it remotely. So Forrester, Shelton flew down to a studio in Wellington. Forrester direct lined into the studio and had 4 cameras set up in the studio.
Oh man.
And we we recorded it, and it worked really well. Like it was just like he was there, because he was. And quite often when you're in the studio and you're a musician and you're performing and you're making stuff, you're in another room anyway. Right. And you're talking to them via the microphone and the headphones. So it doesn't really matter.
Yep, that's true. Yep.
Yeah. So he was getting a direct feed from the desk and listening and talking to Shelton, going, oh no, just lift your arm a little bit more on that right hand snare, or just do this. But the cool thing about it is he could literally he's so technically genius that he will listen to a drum. Shelton will be hitting the snare drum, and Forrester will be listening in Australia and the Gold Coast, and he'll go, oh, the 4th lug from the right isn't tight enough, tighten it up.
Right. That's amazing.
That's the level this dude works at. And so we did it all remotely. It was a really interesting experience. So we're kind of producing it in partnership with him.
Gotcha.
So the process is we write a song, we send it over to him in a demo form. Yep. He chops it up and he sends it back and gives us feedback and goes, oh, maybe try this here and move the guitar over that way and stuff. Yep. We work on it, send it back. He goes, yep, that's it. He approves it. And then we go into the studio and he comes in via the wonderful internet. And
there you go.
And it was cool though, because in all honesty, I was really nervous about going back into the studio again.
Right.
Like sleepless nights nervous.
No.
But what I did is I had to put myself with people or with someone when I'm recording, because when you're recording vocals, it's quite you're pretty much stripped bare. You're standing there,
you're laying yourself out.
Yeah. And I needed to be with someone that I trusted, that could engineer with me and be in the room with me, that was gonna make the energy better. And so what I did is I recorded the vocals at Tiki Tane's studio in Papamoa. So me, Tiki Tane, and Lawton from Cora.
Sure.
were there working on the song together, and it was really awesome, man. You're pretty vulnerable, and you kind of got to go places that you wouldn't normally go every day in front of people.
Yeah. Fair enough. So you mentioned Shelton and Marcus, and you. Who rounds out the band these days? What's the rest? Bass and keys.
So it's me. Yeah. So basically, what we do is Andrew. So the core songwriting team is me, Marcus, and Sheldon.
Yep.
Dan Inslee is on bass with us. He's from City of Souls. He was in City of Souls.
Right.
He plays bass. He's awesome. You know, like he's with us when we're making too. And Andrew Kerr plays guitar live with us. So we're trying to keep it quite tight for this part of it.
Right.
Because it's a touchy kind of sensitive subject songwriting with us. So it's best that we keep it to a tight group.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of water under the bridge with this band, so it's amazing that you've got. Yeah. Do you think about that? It's like, how did this happen? Why are we still here?
Constantly, like pinching myself, constantly kind of going, how did this happen for starters, and why are people still listening to what we have to say? Well, what did we do right that makes us? That makes us kind of relevant to people. And I think it is the truth and the honesty thing, we write about real life experiences. We've been through a lot as a band and through a lot as humans in our lives that can reference, that we can reference and draw on for our song. So, I was thinking about it today, actually. I'm just cutting some more promo material for the new single. And I'm kind of sitting there going, why? Well, this is crazy. I'm so lucky, man. I'm so blessed, and I hate using that term, but I am, because
there you go.
We've got people who want to hear what we have to say. We've got people who message us and say, "Man, I can't wait for the new track. Oh my god, it sounds great." And I've got it, and I'm grateful for that. And that's the one thing that does come with age too. You look at, when we were touring on the first record and flying around the world in bloody helicopters and shit, and all that sort of stuff. I don't think we ever really stopped and kind of looked around and went, wow, isn't this awesome?
Yep.
Because we were so focused on the next goal. We were so focused on, now we need to crack America. Now we've got to get back to Aussie. That we didn't actually stand there when we're playing in festivals in Australia and Malaysia and Indonesia to, tens of thousands of people and go, shit, look what these, 5 boys from West Auckland did, So it's,
very good. Well, the tour kicks off December 3rd. I'm assuming there's going to be added dates, because there's some major cities that aren't on the list. So.
Yeah, we're just trying to, just tread lightly and just be cautious because, canceling rebooking and booking shows is not only a logistical nightmare, but it's also a financial nightmare too.
Right.
So we've got to be really careful about what we commit to and who we do and don't let down, so. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, the thing is we kind of, the shows that's what we love doing, man. That is, so there will be more shows coming.
I'm sure there will. Very good. Well, thanks for spending time talking to me. Hopefully it all goes well. So you're kind of drip feed the album in 4 parts over the course of a year or so, which is a unique way to do it. But like you say, things are different. It's a different world out there. Very cool. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, bud. Cheers, Marty.